Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slamhub Wrestling. Myself, Suprit, and this is your AEW Dynamite review for March 31st, 2021. Joined by here Abhishekh and So, what you think about this week's Dynamite, Abhi?
I thought that it was an entertaining show. It took a long time to watch the show. I thought that it would, I guess, take a little less time, but nonetheless, it had a lot of wrestling, which I enjoyed. Nonetheless, it had the debut of Christian Cage, which was a solid match, and the main event, which we discussed that it probably was a video game or an arcade match, but thankfully it was not. It was a gimmick match, but it had wrestling. So thankfully it was what it was, and it was a very entertaining match. So I really enjoyed that match too.
So, let's see what we had. We had Christian Cage versus Frankie Kazarian, Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall, John Moxley versus Cezar Bononi. MJF had a little gift for the Pinnacle. Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, they faced Laredo Kid and Lucha Brothers. The women's action here, Nyla Rose and the Bunny versus Conti and Hikaru Shida. And in the main event, we had Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor versus the Miro and Kip Sabian in an arcade anarchy match, and so much more. Before that, if you are new to this channel, then make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. So make sure to check out main roster talk, where we successfully predicted that the Hurt business will be splitting up in this week's Monday Night Raw. So check that out. So let's talk Dynamite here. We had to open up the show the in-ring debut of Christian Cage. So he faced Frankie Kazarian. So they were saying that this was his first singles match in about 7 to 8 years. Uh, they gave this match, about a lot of time. I think it was more than 15 minutes or so. But it really worked, played off the gimmick that Christian is doing right now, outwork everyone gimmick. So it played it off, and they, gave you a solid match. What you think about Christian's first match in AEW after 7 years? What you think about it?
Yes, absolutely. I would agree with that. That his gimmick, or you can say his catchphrase, which his T-shirt says, that yes, outwork everyone, solid match, and it really, you can say, it said it, and he delivered it. And we had discussed this on his, you can say, his debut, when we discussed his debut, that it should not be a mere catchphrase. Now he has to, portray that. He has to prove that in AEW, that he is here and he is, out there to outwork everyone. He has to showcase that. So he did in this match, and in my opinion, it was a great wrestling match. It seems someone had heard the Broken Skull Sessions episode with uh, Randy Orton close and in full, because it had many things which were discussed and which were showcased in this match very well. In my opinion, it was a solid match, and you can say many members of the AEW roster and also of many of the independent circuit members should watch this match and should learn the little things from this match. It was a very solid match, in my opinion, which is a rarity in this era of professional wrestling.
So let's talk some highlights here. We had Kazarian. He was dominating for most parts because Christian, he was showing some sign of ring rust, which was part of the story of the match. So, Kazarian was avoiding the kill switch twice. We would see some big moves at the end. Christian would have big splash. Kazarian, he would have flux capacitor. So great near falls here and there. So final part of the match saw Kazarian running into the post. Christian finally hit the kill switch, and that was it. That was it. Not a bad match for Christian's debut, but I would like to ask. I also said it last week that Kazarian was a great worker. Who can carry you in a good match. But what about the other guys? In AEW, what if can Christian hang in with the young guys like Jungle Boy or a Pac or a Kenny Omega?
Mhm. That we have to see in the future, I guess. In this match, yes, of course, Kazarian had the, you can say, yes, majority of the, stuff. And yes, he had to because he was playing the villain, the heel. And yes, the ring rust was the part of the story, absolutely. And yes, Christian and Kazarian, both you can say their stock went up, in my opinion, because it was a very solid wrestling match. With respect to your question, I guess we have to see in the future. At this point, we can say that yes, Christian is here and he is, you can say, here to give to the younger guys, absolutely, to give the rub and be at the legend status, and you can say to put them over, even when, or to, you can say, to elevate them, absolutely. So, and we have to see now, the only feud which we know right now, which is solid, which is against Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. So that is to come. So we are waiting for it whenever it manifests. So we will see what happens with regards to that match. In this match, of course, it was the heart, the resilience, and it was constant back and forth. It was, in my opinion, it was one of the best matches in the recent uh, era. And you can say the little things, one of the things that were that even the headlocks, you can say the headlocks which are loose, and the wrestlers think that it was also discussed on the Broken Skulls episode, that the wrestlers don't give a fuck about that, but that also were tight and they were given a fuck. And they are the little things which wrestlers should, so as to keep it real, that it is real, it is a fight. And there is a, you can say, yes, of course, it is a story, of course, but it is real. And you are fighting, it is not a dance session or a dance sequence that, yes, I'm just holding you like this, and now you have to go there, then you have to come here. No, it has to look like that, that of course you can stop right here. So it was tight, it was effective, the headlocks, there were many things, even the small grounded cravat, the inverted cravat, Christian sold it like anything. He passed out at one point, he sold it. It is the little thing, the old school wrestling match, the little thing which I guess it is not seen in today's generation. Why? It is a big question. It was the first match of the night. You can say that, yes, the attention span of the people is this, but the fact that it was such a solid match, it kept you, the story, and with regards to Christian coming back, his singles match, his debut, Kazarian, their rivalry in uh, their past when they started in TNA or Impact Wrestling, whatever, and then competing tonight. So it is a great story. Everything was here. The selling was top notch from both the competitors, unlike the hot start matches we have seen in the recent past, of course. And it sold me on Kazarian too. If there were wrestlers, or you can say not wrestlers, the people who were not sold on Kazarian, that yes, he is old veteran part-time person who just comes and goes. He only wrestles on dark, and he is not as good as he is. But the fact that we saw tonight that he's a solid worker, he is great. So that also was on showcase that he still got it. Absolutely, he has. But yes, you have to give him the time to showcase that yes, he is one of the best, of course. But you have to give that story, you have to give that time, and then they will execute to the best. And he is, of course, Kazarian and Christian. Both are on their top game. They can execute even now at this point in their careers. Absolutely.
So from that, we see, Darby Allen and Sting walking in the streets. So, Allen was talking about Matt Hardy, saying that you used to be a guy that people looked up to, but now, he's all about the money and how he hates those type of people. So they are basically furthering the story with Darby Allen having an interaction with Matt Hardy. So we could see these two go for the TNT championship, maybe somewhere down the line.
Yes, absolutely. It would be happening very soon, in my opinion. Last week, you can say, misspoke with regards to Silver and Hardy going at it. I am very sorry. It was Darby and Hardy. So, yes, absolutely. It is happening in the near future. Probably it would be happening at a specials event, either on Dynamite or pay-per-view. I would say that it should happen on a pay-per-view, but how long can they stretch this rivalry? We have to wait and see, of course.
So we get a promo from Jade Cargill. So she calls out, Red Velvet, saying that Velvet has been jealous of her since she came to AEW, and Cargill here, she calls her money, and we could be, if they are doing a big Dynamite special down the line, because mostly Double or Nothing could be happening at May, I think. So in the middle of we still got, I think, a month and a half, maybe. So you can do a special Dynamite, and you could make this match a special attraction of some sort.
Yes, of course. I would agree with that.
Speaking about Red Velvet, she will be part of the next segment because we had Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall in an exhibition match. So we had, Arn Anderson as the special guest referee. So Abby, tell us the backstory of this match.
It has been happening for weeks that QT Marshall is, showing signs of displeasure, that he's not satisfied with his position on the roster, and he's not happy with, you can say, giving, his giving nature with regards to the Nightmare family and the Nightmare factory, that he's only giving to the people, that is, he's coaching the wrestlers, he's giving them advice with regards to everything, but he's not positioned on the roster as such in a good way, in a big way. That all the glory is taken by the likes of Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, and Brandy Rhodes, of course, and Shorty Lee. Shorty Lee is a big slap to the face, of course, to QT Marshall, as he got his first victory on AEW Dynamite, and it was made a very big deal. And also tonight, QT Marshall was given a dark entrance, a jobber entrance, which wasn't even aired on AEW Dynamite. So that also got to the part of the story. And Cody Rhodes said last week that QT is his best friend, and he would not hurt him in this match. If QT wants to make a statement or wants to prove that he is one of the best and he should be given the opportunities for the same, then he has he has the opportunity this week. So Cody gave the opportunity even when he was injured. He was wearing an arm sling, and he, appointed his coach Arn Anderson as a referee, and he said that whenever I will have the opportunity to hurt you, put you in the figure four or the crossroads, I will not do that. I will not go to execute that move because you are my best friend and I do not want to hurt you. I do not want to pin you. There is nothing in me to do that. So that was the whole story with regards to this feud, rivalry, or match.
So, they had the Nightmare Factory students, as lumberjacks for this match. So they gave this, about 5 minutes or so. Cody was trying his best not to hurt QT like he promised last week, but QT gets furious and punches Arn Anderson in the face and just walks up. So you could take this as, the first no contest on Dynamite.
Probably, yes.
So the story came post-match here. All of a sudden, the Nightmare Factory students, guys like Nick Camarado, Anthony Ogogo, and Aaron Solo. So they attack Cody and the rest of the Nightmare family. So QT joins in. So Dustin is all busted open. Lee Johnson, he gets power bombed on the stage. Camarado gets the steps, and QT, he, pile drives Dustin on the steps. So QT wipes Dustin's blood on Aaron Solo's shirt. So QT was looking to filminize Cody with a steel chair, but here comes Red Velvet. So she came for the save, begging and pleading as the heels walk off, and that's basically it. The angle was, really good, came off great. And you said that last week, who gives a fuck about this segment? But you also need to consider that the only reason they are doing this is to, keep Cody Rhodes busy and avoid him, going into other big major feuds in AEW, like championship feuds or something.
Yes. With regards to this, there are, you can say, yes, I would agree. But who gives a fuck was because of the reason that we haven't seen, you can say, most of the progression of the feud with regards to this match. And because many of the things happened on probably dark, that was one of the reasons. And also there was no, you can say, continuity or genuineness, I'm very sorry, with regards to QT's character. That once he was, romancing with Ali and now he has a wife. So that really, busts up your mind that what the fuck is happening. So why should I even invest in this? Why should I care? So there's that. But yes, with regards to what happened here and with regards to the new faction, yes, of course it's good that yes, something new is happening. People are complaining that yes, the fact that there are so many factions, that AW is, faction country. But the fact is that factions are made so as to create new stars. That factions go out, yes, dominate or whatever. There are baby faces, there are heels, of course. But what happens is that one or two people, outshine the rest. And they are the ones who are, who come out of the factions and they become superstars of the future. AEW is a new company. So they want new guys, of course, to become superstars. So they need the said factions. That is one of the foundations of creating new superstars. That also happened in the case of the Attitude Era in WWF or WWE. that when there were many factions with the likes of Nation of Domination, which gave us The Rock, and the Hart Foundation, which gave us Bret Hart, Owen Hart, and the DX, of course. DX gave us Triple H. Shawn Michaels left because he had his demons. But the fact is that many things happened from factions. So it is a great thing. There was Kai and Tai, which gave us Taka Michinoku and Funaki. But yes, the fact is that it was a mid-card play nonetheless. But yes, every faction had a story. Even Too Cool had a story, and people were invested in everything. So that is one of the things that we get invested when there are factions and there are stories going on with everything. So it is great. Now, even in the last segment, we saw that even Best Friends now is probably a faction or a group, whatever you want to call that, a stable, whatever term you want to call
Trios.
that. Now there are 4 people. Yes, trios. Now it is a 4 people now. Now Chris Statlander has joined. So there's that. It also has manifested from being the elite with the skits of Cassidy. So there's that. So it is good. I would agree. Yes, there are many factions. People would complain because it is unlike WWE and blah blah blah. But the fact is that yes, it is a new it is a new company. It has to build upon the things, and it is for the future, of course. So it is good. But I thought that Anthony Ogogo outshined QT Marshall with the thing that he did with the punch to the breadbasket of Cody Rhodes. That moment outshined somewhat of what QT did. But the fact is that now QT has to come about with a dominant persona, and he has to make sure that he outshines on the microphone. He looks dominant, and he has to make sure that he is the leader of that faction, or else the other people, Nick Comoroto and even Anthony Ogogo and even Nick Comoroto, because their persona is such that they can outshine him if he doesn't come about as dominant and good on the microphone, because that is also very essential, and that was also discussed on the Skull sessions with Randy Orton, that stories being on the microphone, that is very essential. And I also have said it many a times that it is very essential to be on the microphone and be good, so that gets the people invested in you. So QT Marshall has to do that, or else the other guys, Anthony, Aaron, and Nick, they will outshine him because they are also hungry and they also want the spotlight. Everybody wants the spotlight. Everybody wants to be on Dynamite. So it is a very tough task for QT Marshall to get over in this faction. But man, you have to step up. You have to step up if you want to be on Dynamite. That is their flagship show. When the second show will come about, probably you will get drafted there. So there's that.
And did you know Anthony Ogogo was originally supposed to debut with the Inner Circle?
Now I am thinking probably yes, because yes, it was probably yes. I guess yes.
Then he got replaced by Jake Hager by Jericho, because Jericho wanted Hager, not Ogogo.
Mm-hmm. It was probably for the, it was probably for the better.
So after this, we had Red Velvet doing an interview explaining what happened, but she gets attacked by Jade Cargill. So let's see when this match eventually happens. So let's quickly move to John Moxley with Cezar Bononi. So Bononi was accompanied by Ryan Nemeth and JD Drake. So, pre-match promo by Moxley, he calls Bononi a lifeguard from Baywatch. and said, and he says he's gonna kill him tonight, and that's it. So we had Bononi, he would get some offense here and there. We see involvement of Drake and Nemeth. So Death Rider to Nemeth, Bononi going for the pump handle here, but Moxley counters into a sleeper, and that was basically it. More of Moxley later on, but thoughts on this?
I guess it was a solid bout, a competitive match, back and forth. Bononi got, a lot of offense. He had the offense throughout the commercial break. And as you said that JD Drake and Ryan Nemeth also paid dividends for being ringside with him, him being Bononi, of course. And the alliance of these three men, that is Bononi and Drake and Nemeth, was brushed upon. JR asked Excalibur, but the action was so, ongoing that he was just able to blurt out that they found strength in numbers and they compete on dark. That was basically it. And there wasn't much with regards to that, how they came about and their different nationalities and what was the thing that basically you can say, bonded them. That yes, now we have to be an alliance and we have to dominate whatever. I don't know at this point that what are they doing on dark and dark elevation, but nonetheless. And it seems that I appreciated probably Bononi a little too much last week. So he got a match against Moxley this week. So there's that. Even if, it was taped or live, whatever, nonetheless. And also with regards to TK, he has stopped his mark antics on the Impact paid ads now for the last 2 weeks. So now, Mr. Tony Khan, you are a role model. So congratulations on that. Now you are only concerning yourself with, being, over the top, a villain, and yes, promoting your show, that is Dynamite. So that is very good. Props to you. My hat is off to you.
One thing I forgot is that JD Drake will be getting a TNT title shot next week against Darby Allin. So the explanation here is that they said that Darby Allin actually gave a open challenge, which is open to literally anyone. So JD was the guy to step up and accept this first. So there you go. You got the TNT title match. No much explanation needed for the TNT title match, how it's booked, because I said weeks ago that booking TNT, there is actually loopholes when you book TNT title matches. There are feuds, but to book random TNT title matches, there are some loopholes which could be acceptable in few cases.
Yes.
So let's get to a Britt Baker promo here. So she was probably looking for Shivani, but Reba decided to interview Baker. But so we had Baker talking about her upcoming match on Elevation. Said Thunder Rosa will also be on the same card, and she hopes Rosa gets some wins because the only big win was that unsanctioned match which didn't even matter. And that's it. Britt Baker just gloating here and there. More of Britt Baker promos on Dynamite.
Yes. It's good.
Speaking about good, so we get to a Young Bucks. So we get to a Young Bucks interview. Don Callis, he interrupts from the get-go. So we had Nick and Alex Marvez leaving because he only wanted to have a conversation with Matt Jackson. So Callis said that after last week, the Bucks broke the heart of Kenny Omega. So Callis continued talking some shit and swings a right at Matt Jackson. So Matt got his hands on Callis but decided to hold back, and that was your entire thing. And we'll get a follow-up in the next match here. So let's quickly get into this trios match here, Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Laredo Kid and the Lucha Brothers. So Callis was, holding both the AAA Mega Championship and now officially the best looking belt in all of professional wrestling, the AEW World Championship. Take that, New Japan. So we had the baby faces, doing dives from the get-go. The heels, they were working on Laredo Kid for the most part, but things picked up when Penta and Phoenix got the tag. We would see some big moves here and there. Final part of the match saw Laredo and Omega. So these were the legal men. V-Trigger and One Winged Angel to Laredo, and that was it. Really fun match here. What do you think about it?
Yes, I also thought that it was a great entertaining match, and with regards to the Bullet Club, you have to say whatever, and they were dominant in this match. With regards to it, that you can say that last week probably the trio of Laredo Kid and Lucha Bros were probably more dominant, and that is their style with regards to when they are competing against the likes of the Young Bucks and Cutler, because they have to get all the things, they have to do their spots and stuff like that. But with regards to, but that is probably one of the bad things, in my opinion. Because if you are the champions, the Young Bucks are the tag team champions, they should be dominant, in my opinion. But nonetheless, that is their, style, and nonetheless. But but the fact that here, Bullet Club, only the AAA Mega Champion and the AEW World Champion and their partners, his partners, they were dominant enough to put down the people who beat Cutler and the Young Bucks. There's that. So the fact is that it was a great, great entertaining match. So I really enjoyed this match with regards to a great competitive match this week. And last week, yes, Lucha Bros, Laredo Kid won, and Lucha Bros are on the path of, you can say, yes, they are going to face the Young Bucks for the tag team championship in the near future. Probably they are, stretching it as far as they could, because they want it on a pay-per-view, and it is, big money match, and they want it, of course. We would also want it on a pay-per-view, of course. So they are doing it as far as possible.
And they were waiting for Pac. Yes. Originally, they wanted Pac in there, but I think they will go with the Lucha Brothers here. Maybe.
Yes. It seems so. Let's see with regards to it. And yes, one small thing that Excalibur gave a shout out to Tanahashi when the slick blades from Pentagon happened. So probably somebody is watching Wrestle Square and, getting inspiration from somebody. Nonetheless.
Wait, when did Tanahashi started working Wrestle Square?
No, I gave him, shout outs whenever the sling blades happen.
Nice.
From Skylar. Yes.
So, post match, you would see John Moxley coming out from the tunnel. Omega, so he's welcoming him in the ring. But here comes the Young Bucks. They join Moxley as the heels escape. And that was it. And I actually predicted it last week that everything is leading up to a big six-man tag involving all six guys here. So this match is happening next week, and then we'll have to see what happens. Because on that note, I want to ask you whether they still will do Moxley versus Omega again for the title, or is that story over?
Probably, I don't think so that it is, still warranted. It is still necessary. But if they want to, write Moxley off television, they will do some kind of an angle. So what they can do probably, if I said it probably that if the Young Bucks get some sense into them and they join Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers next week probably, so they can put the beat down on John Moxley next week, as Eddie Kingston is out indefinitely. Probably when he will return, we don't know. He has an ankle injury, so they can put the beat down on John Moxley next week. So John Moxley would also be out. So next, uh, they we have to see. And now we have 1.5 months, as you said, for Double or Nothing. So they can have Eddie Kingston versus Kenny Omega for the pay-per-view, because still at that time Eddie Kingston would be ready, in my opinion. So they have time with regards to it. And till the time that happens, right now they have Laredo Kid. They can book a match if they want. Kenny Omega versus Laredo Kid. If they want, they have done it in the past. Not AEW, AAA. So they can do if they want here in AEW. So that is up to them.
So from that, we get to the inner circle locker room. We see MJF. So he wanted to give a gift for the Pinnacle. So MJF, as a personal designer for the boys, he plans to, renovate the locker room. So he goes on to open the bathroom door, and it's the inner circle. So MJF decided to quietly close the door and wants all the Pinnacle members to get out of the room. But they are stopped by Jake Hager. So a brawl broke out. We see Guevara take out Spear. So he slammed his head through a door. So Hager slams Wardlow through a massage table. Santana and Otis, they sent Cash into the ice bathtub while Dax was all busted open. So Jericho then takes MJF's head in the toilet and flushes it. MJF then gets sent into the freezer. So Inner Circle takes back their locker room, and that was it. So we all know this eventually was going to happen, but do you believe that this happened too early? They should have kept the Inner Circle written at least 3-4 more weeks, because it was just 2 weeks ago that this new faction, the Pinnacle, formed, and now they are getting their ass kicked. So what do you think about it?
Even last week, it was, in my opinion, as I said, that it was, a weak outing for the Pinnacle, because they have, touted them as one of the top factions. So they should not be as, weak or eating such offense from their, foes, their enemies. So yes, I would agree with your statement that yes, they booked their return very soon. They could have stretched it a week or two, and they, in the midst of these weeks, they could have gotten them. 1 week they could have done a promo in the ring if it was required, or a backstage segment, and in 1 week they could have done another match which would have had a dominant outing. Then you would have booked the return of the Inner Circle next week, post that dominant outing. So, but the thing is that the attention span and probably whatever, comes to the mind of, the booker, that is Tony Khan here, and the other people, Chris Jericho and the EVPs. So they probably wanted that the people would forget this feud. Their attention span is so less. So we have to rush this. So, in my opinion, it was a bad decision. As you said, it should have been stretched because it was such a dominant beatdown. It should have been sold as such that they were in the hospital. They got, they got stitched up, they healed. It takes time. It is not that in 2 weeks they are back. So, where is the realism? Where is the story? Where is it? You know, I do not understand.
But the angle came out really good. Good. The only
Yes,
thing was just hold this thing for at least 3 more weeks. You know.
yes, yes. Absolutely, it was very solid. Whatever they did, how the camera shots and whatever happened, the MJF being put through that, the beverage fridge, whatever, and all the things, Dax being busted open, everything, the chaos, everything. It was very solid. I would give them. It didn't look shabby at all. It was not WWE-esque in this era. In this era, it is very cartoonish. Even they do not do it anymore. It is even a rarity. It happened probably once when I complained about Jeff Hardy and his storylines, and then next week we saw an angle on Fox that Jeff Hardy was drunk and he rammed someone, and it came out to be Elias. That was one of the things, one of the angles which was done, probably out of the blue, that we don't see as such. We saw such stuff in the Attitude Era. So, yes, this was very solid, but yes, it could have been stretched, as you say, as you said, that 3 more weeks, 2 more weeks, 4 more weeks. Absolutely. But it was solid nonetheless.
So from that, we get to Ty Conti and Hikaru Shida. So they faced Nyla Rose and the Bunny. So this match came about after the Bunny attacked both Shida and Conti last week. And by the way, is Nyla Rose, is she part of the Hardy family office?
I guess not. She only got the entrance this week because they were teaming up. She is still with Vicky Guerrero.
Very confusing thing here. I think they could have explained it a way lot better.
But probably she, got some kind of, you can say, payout for this week. Because in the match, you saw that she did majority of the lifting, and the Bunny only entered the ring when they were in an advantageous position. She didn't, enter the ring to, pummel the opponent when they were at a position which is neutral. She only entered the ring when Nyla had beaten down and isolated the opponent. That was in majority Hikaru Shida, which is the who is the AEW Women's World Champion, which is also a thing of its own. That why are you doing an isolation technique method on the world champion? It is very you can say a thing that somewhat boggles your mind, that you are doing an isolation technique on your women's champion who should be dominant. But the fact is that the woman who was getting the hot tag is ranked number 1, and she is going to face the women's champion probably at the next pay-per-view. So she was getting the elevation, the rub this week. She was going to be made a star. So there's that. This puts them in a very, you can say, conflicting position, the bookers, that how to book this match. So I don't know what to do. What to do.
So we had the Dark Order and the Hardy office. So they were ringside. So they do the usual brawl. So Shida, she takes out Nyla. So Shida did a dive on the pile outside, but she gets caught. So Conti with a little assist, a dive of her own. So back in, Bunny takes Shida's kendo stick and takes a swing at Conti and was able to get a win. And that was it. And I think the only reason they had, Bunny win here is because I think they wanted to have, this faction, Hardy's faction. Uh, they wanted this faction to look strong as a whole, as a unit, because for this past few, they are just began as a faction, so they want to get some wins, make them look strong, and I hope now that they are doing Ty Conti versus Bunny in a singles match, I hope they give Ty Conti the win next week because she is, ranked number one contender, and you have to make her look stronger for that title match. You know,
Yes, absolutely. If they are thinking of booking a triple threat, then probably Bunny would get the victory, or some shenanigans would happen and Bunny would get the victory. And with regards to Bunny getting the pinfall this week, who did she pin? Just asking.
she didn't pin Shida.
She pinned Shida.
No, she didn't pin Shida.
She pinned Ty Conti.
Yep.
Okay. So yes. So she pinned the number one contender. So probably, they probably be thinking that for the pay-per-view it should be you can say a action-packed match. So they can. There is a lot of time, of course, and so they can book a triple threat if they want, and they see the potential in Ali because they haven't booked her in any of the you can say wrestling matches on Dynamite in the recent past. She has competed on Dark or Dark Elevation, so they have given her a chance. So we have to see if she impresses the officials, then only she will be booked in a triple threat. So she has a chance till the pay-per-view to impress. So she has a big chance. And with regards to Bunny getting a pinfall this week, the fact is that the story is Matt Hardy wants to put down every member of the Dark Order and wants to make the lives of the Dark Order members a living hell. So that agenda of Matt Hardy is getting pushed to center stage. So that is happening. So there's that. And now Bunny has also joined in to the agenda and she is also pushing that from the women's division. Taya Conti right now is representing the Dark Order in some fashion. So yes, Bunny is fighting her because at this point Anna Jay out with an injury. So there's that.
And I forgot to mention is that John Silver got injured last week in that TNT title match, and I think he'll be out for 3-4 weeks. No surgery needed, thankfully.
It was a great match.
So let's finally, but before the main event, I think they announced for next week we have Bear Country versus Jurassic Express. There is some story regarding that mini feud, and I think they are getting sponsored by this upcoming film. I think it was Godzilla versus King Kong. So there you go. Let's get to the main event here. It was Arcade Anarchy, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor versus Kip Sabian and Miro. I thought it was decent, but still a little overbooking, here and there. What did you think about this match?
I thought that it was an entertaining match, and it perfectly, you can say, wrapped up their rivalry. I think that now it is wrapped up. There's nothing else to do now anymore. There is nothing. And because it all started with an arcade machine, which Miro gifted Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford as a wedding gift, and which the best friends, broke or ruined. You can say they did it by mistake, but nonetheless, and it all ended in an arcade anarchy. And all the people who were involved, they were there. Sue was there, you know, Chuck Taylor was there, Cassidy was there, Miro, Sabian were there, Trent was there too, Trent returned. Chris Statlander, she made her return so as to be a part of the, group. Cassidy got a new entrance theme, which debuted on Dark Elevation. So, all in all, they perfectly wrapped up, this rivalry. And it was entertaining, in my opinion.
And I think the best part of the match was, Miro, because this guy was literally killing everyone. And I think it also played into, the story is done. I think he'll be moving into bigger and better things, hopefully. So let's see if that happens or not. Let's talk some highlights here. So we had arcade machines surrounding the ring. The place looked like a literal arcade center. So we had Miro ragdolling Cassidy at one point. So Cassidy and Chuck trying to get rid of Miro. We had Cassidy hit the orange punch and beach break on Sabian. That gets some near falls. So Penelope Ford she gets involved and she kicks orange in his Cassidy's. So Penelope, she was about to whip Cassidy with her belt, but from a slot machine pops up the returning Krista Atlander. So she takes Penelope Ford, drives her through a poker table nearby. So we had Miro, fighting both Cassidy and Chuck to the outside. So a familiar van shows up. It's Trent and Sue. We get a 3-on-1 on Miro, but Miro is still standing tall. So Miro decided to threaten Sue, but here comes Trent, attacks Miro, spears Miro through a table. Meanwhile, Chuck hit a running power slam to Sabian through a table, and that was it. The best friends are back. Cassidy got the win. We had the return of Chris Statlander. That was it. Post match, they had they had to give the people what they want, and that's how Dynamite went off. And we have to see what Chris Statlander has to play in this current women's division, because there has been little progress with storylines and booking. You can say that, but yeah, let's see how that goes. And that was Dynamite. And before we leave, where can these guys find you, Abby?
Guys, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at AbbeyManiac. And I am currently working with an independent wrestling promotion in India called Wrestle Square. You can subscribe to their YouTube channel. And I also have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that at AbbeyManiac.
You can find Slamhub Wrestling on Twitter at SlamHubW, Instagram at SlamHub Wrestling. You can catch the audio version of this podcast and reviews on Anchor and Spotify as well. And we'll see you guys next time.